Canon recently released an RF mount version of the 135mm lens at f1.8. As of the time of this video, it sells for $2,099. Before I got my copy, I was using the Sigma EF mount version of this lens, and I was very happy with it, but it was a little too front-heavy for my comfort. So when the RF mount version went on sale, I got in line to purchase this lens right away. The focus on this lens is snappy, reliable, and as sharp as a knife. I also happen to have a nearly 60-year-old FL mount Canon 135mm lens for film cameras, and I thought it might be fun to see what the quality difference of the two are. I purchased mine on eBay for under $50, and you can still find them today. But you can't directly attach these legacy lenses directly to your Canon mirrorless camera. You must first purchase an FL to RF adapter. I got mine on Amazon and paid a premium for it, but there are also cheaper versions out there that sell for under $25. If you were to purchase the cheapest mount adapter and cheapest legacy lens available, you'd be looking at a total cost of under $60. Quite a bargain, if the quality is worth it. So let's dig in. The first thing you notice with these 60-year-old legacy lenses is how heavy they are. Built entirely of steel and glass, they are rugged as can be. Of course, autofocus wasn't a feature on consumer cameras back in the mid-1960s, so you used the huge focus ring to fine-tune your subject. The focus ring takes a bit of effort to move, so you had to either be on a tripod or have incredibly steady hands to get images of moving subjects. You also set the aperture of the lens directly on the lens itself, not on the camera body like with modern cameras. This particular lens opened up as wide as f2.5 instead of f1.8 like the modern lens. That was probably a physical limitation of the narrow lens at the time. To get a wider aperture would mean a wider lens tube. Contrast that with the modern RF version of this lens. It's nearly twice the width and about an inch longer. The reasons for the size difference are that this lens can open up as wide as f1.8. It includes a lightning-quick autofocus motor, and also has built-in lens stabilization for rock-solid shooting, handheld. The construction of this lens is plastic and glass to keep weight down. But don't let all that plastic fool you. This still feels like a very substantial lens in your hands. One thing to note is that before you mount a legacy lens to your Canon mirrorless camera, you'll have to set one of the menu features on your camera. Go into your menu. It will be different depending on the camera body you're using. In this case, I'm using the Canon EOS R5 camera and enable the feature for release shutter without lens. Your legacy lens has no electronic connections, so the camera body won't know you have something connected and will not let you take pictures with the legacy lens unless you enable this feature. I wanted to ensure that my test subject was stationary so that this test could showcase on the quality of the glass, not the focusing system or stabilization. I mounted the camera on a tripod and set both lenses to f2.5, since that's the maximum that the legacy lens could open up. The ISO and shutter speeds were set identically for the test. Here's a side-by-side of both images, taken in portrait orientation, so this is the full readout of the sensor that you're seeing, not a crop. Can you tell which is the legacy lens and which is the modern lens? If you guessed that the image on the left was taken with the RF lens, you were correct. The quality of the legacy lens is pretty good considering it's nearly 60 years old. It's not until you zoom in that you notice the imperfections. Once we zoom in fully, we can see the softness of the legacy lens in comparison to the modern RF lens. The RF lens was spot-focused in autofocus mode. The legacy lens was fine-tuned adjusted with the magnification at 10 times to get the optimal sharpness. I'm going to flip back and forth so you can see the subtle differences, and except for a bit of haziness, they are very close. Notice that colors between the two lenses are nearly identical. So if you really needed a 135mm lens on a budget, you could absolutely pick up one of these legacy lenses and adapt it to your modern mirrorless camera. You just wouldn't have the modern convenience of autofocus, stabilization, or auto aperture settings. You'll notice that your camera shows an aperture of f0.0 in your camera settings. This is to be expected since there are no electronics in the legacy lens to communicate that information to your modern camera body. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.